Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Let's Get Trashed. You know him, you love him, my co-host, Clarence Riley IV.
Hi, guys. How are you? Pleasure to be back here on the couch with you again.
This is another... Ooh, I'm going to change... So, all right, I got an idea. Instead of Let's Get Trashed, because, I have my In the Can episodes.
That's right.
When Clarence is on the pod, we're going to call it Let's Get Blacked Out.
We're going to call it Blacked... Wait. I'm actually being told that website is taken. Blacked... Yeah, we can't actually say it.
You got to stick with mine. Which is just a...
We'll call it redacted. Hashtag blacked out.
Let's get blacked out. That's the funny. Yeah.
Let's get blacked out. I love it.
It has to be a play on words of my own title.
I endorse this.
Okay, folks, welcome back. It feels like it's been a while. The episode that I put out this week. I hope you all enjoyed the In the Can episode. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Jimmy D and I recorded. That just came out yesterday, as of when I'm recording this, and so it's been a while since I've recorded something. So I'm glad to be back. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me, man.
You know what? If you hadn't sent me for $300 in the mail, I wouldn't be here. So thank you.
For our audio listeners, Clarence is once again doing that weird thing where he's just staring at the camera.
It's not weird. I'm connecting with everybody out there.
You're sitting forward. You're sitting up. You have excellent posture.
I have to.
And you're staring at the camera.
I'm looking at it, and, it keeps blinking right back at me. And anybody else who's not giving us those views and seeing this, please just sign on for 1 minute and give us a like and a follow.
Give us a like and a follow, people.
Smash the shit out of that like button or that bell icon, whatever it is.
Yeah. I haven't... at some point, I'll try to do a... I went to the mecca of podcasting. I went to Las Vegas for Skankfest, Las Vegas. All the best podcasts were there, especially including me. The top podcasters in the world, just getting together, a melding of the minds.
Let's get trashed, and then the rest of them.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's another thing for our viewers, not our listeners. What I did with my hand there.
I don't know. It would be fun to do a Skankfest Vegas recap, but I'm not going to. Instead, we are talking about film today, and we are talking about I looked up his name. Let me figure out how to say this dude's name. The film, obviously, as you've read from the title, is Bullet Train.
I read it as Bullet Rain.
By David Leitch.
Yes.
David Leitch, who I looked him up because I wanted to see who he was. David Leitch, he's the same guy that directed Deadpool 2. And also, interestingly enough, he directed Deadpool 2. He didn't direct Deadpool 1, but he did direct the short Deadpool film that they leaked in order to...
the original concept film.
Yeah, the original concept film, which was just Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool sitting on an overpass, and he falls, and he's saying a silly monologue, and then he jumps down and lands on the car and kills a bad guy or whatever. It was like a 3-minute film that they paid for and presented it to I guess Fox. They presented it to Fox as like, let us make this movie. And Fox was like, no, we're not going to make a rated R superhero movie. That's stupid. And so even though they filmed this teaser, Fox shut them down. They leaked it. Ryan Reynolds had it, quote unquote.
Somebody Ryan Reynolds shaped leaked it, essentially. Yeah.
They leaked it. It got an enormous response. That footage got like a huge response. People went crazy for it, and they used it like, hey, I know this got accidentally leaked, Fox, but people love it, so give us the money to make one. And then they did, and Deadpool, the first Deadpool was like
That was directed by Tim Miller, not David Leitch, which
That's
is
right.
what you were saying. But David Leitch
that was
directed
he directed the leaked
the
footage.
original concept.
Yeah,
Proof of concept
right.
is what it would be called, I guess.
And then that movie became like one of the. I mean, percentage wise, it was like the highest. It was the highest grossing rated R film ever.
Yeah, and it was well done enough to where they justified the existence of another after it.
And I mean, importantly, obviously it wasn't as like high grossing as some of the biggest superhero stuff because it's rated R. That like cuts a big portion of your audience down,
Of course.
but it was low budget enough. Like the amount of money it made compared to its budget was pretty good, except for the fact that Hollywood doesn't really care about that. If I spend $1 million and make $10 million, that's 90% return or whatever.
Right.
But they don't want 90% return. They'd rather you spend $500 million and make $1 billion.
Right. Like they're looking for their next Infinity War or their next Endgame or whatever it is.
For sure. But the Hollywood accounting is like 50% return on investment is better if they just don't care about the percentage. They only care about the actual gross numbers. And so however you get there is better.
Yes. And a lot of this actually factors into a lot of my thoughts about the movie at hand that we're talking about, including, oddly enough, Deadpool 2, which is something that I want to talk to you about.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
go ahead. Let's start there. I'm going to be honest. I don't remember Deadpool 2. I watched Deadpool, the first one, several times, I think, because I thought it was really funny and it was really good. The second one I just saw once. I remember a couple like the gags of it. I know they had I think Brad Pitt was in that and they killed him in like a second.
That's actually that
was
dovetails really nicely into what we were going to talk about.
That was one of the jokes, was that Brad Pitt was a superhero, that it was all hyped up. Oh my god, I can't believe so and so the white parachute guy is going to be our he's going to join our team. And then he dies in like 1 second in like a funny way. And it was Brad Pitt, which is also like a funny thing to get superstar Brad Pitt and kill him in 1 second. That's like
so Brad Pitt.
That's their equivalent of a joke in superhero world.
In Deadpool 2, Brad Pitt plays a character called the Vanisher or something along those lines. I'm sure the internet will correct me. But he plays a character called the Vanisher. He's invisible until the last 3 seconds of his appearance in that movie because he grabs an electric line and his powers start freaking out and you can see him right before he dies.
Oh, yeah. You see him get electrocuted. Yeah. That's the only time you see him. And it's like you see like his skeleton, like the X-ray type thing. That
it kind of like flexes through and you do see his Brad Pitt face. You do see that.
That's right. That's what the joke was.
Yeah. And sorry, I was just
what else do you got on Deadpool 2?
Because that whole sequence, because there's this part in the movie. Big spoilers, by the way, from this point forward. I guess.
Hold on, for you're already spoiling. Let's wait a second.
Okay, all right, we'll hold off on it. But there is a really cool little like Easter egg that I noticed in there, which I thought was was nice, and I didn't know that the guy who directed this was the same guy who did Deadpool 2.
You're talking about the comparable cameo.
Not that necessarily. There's something else. It was just it's actually more insignificant than we're building it up to be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's
but yeah, there's something.
I don't think that's big. I don't think that's big of a spoiler of the Ryan Reynolds cameo.
No, it's not that.
Oh, you're talking about something else. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. What that is. We'll get to that later.
Ryan Reynolds may or may not be in this movie.
He also has a 3-second cameo in a Brad Pitt movie, the same way Brad Pitt had a 3-second cameo in the Ryan Reynolds movie. Both of them by the same director.
And it makes you think: have they ever been in a movie with each other before? And
it doesn't make me think that. It doesn't make me think that one bit.
It made me think that at first with Brad Pitt in there, and I'm like, has he ever been?
I don't give a care whether they've been in a movie together.
I don't give a heck.
So, what I do want to talk about before we get into little bit of plot synopsis, little bit of talk. We'll talk vibe.
Okay.
Immediately, and you know what, folks, very important. Maybe I'll even cut in if I'll go back and watch it myself, and maybe I'll even cut in any poignant points I made.
But that should be a segment.
I talked about this film before in a trailer trashed episode. I watched the trailer for Bullet Train. I did an episode of my trailer trashed series, the beloved, the acclaimed trailer trashed series,
Renown,
and talked about Bullet Train and talked about my expectations for it and talked about the things I figured I would dislike about it. And so now maybe I'll go back and cut in some of that throughout to see if I was right. I'll have to go back and see if I was right. Spoiler alert, I was right. You thought I had to go back and check. I never have to go back and check. I was fucking right.
All of that stuff is going to be put in right before you said spoiler alert.
Yeah, it's all gonna, yeah. That's the spot to cut it. That'll be a funny place to cut it in, I think. This is. It belongs in that family of film that is. You can tell heavily influenced by Quentin Tarantino.
Absolutely. Here it is like Quentin Tarantino had a baby with whoever wrote Smoking Aces, and that baby had a shittier child that made this movie.
Yes. Smoking Aces is one of those films that's like trying to be Tarantino. Any Guy Ritchie movie is trying to be Tarantino.
Although don't sleep on that Sherlock series. That's still some pretty good shit. I'll be honest with you.
Never seen it.
On our next...
I'm going to sleep on it.
That's going to be a new series. I'm going to sleep on it.
I'm going to write down a list. I'm going to read down a list that's already been written of just movies that off the top of my head fall into that. We're trying to trick the audience into thinking Tarantino made this movie.
You guys count how many times each of us nods.
I'm going to go with the most recent example that I could think of off the top of my head. A film called The Bad Times at El Royale. That's the number one example, I believe, of like this movie's not made by Tarantino, and they are doing everything in their power to make you think it was. That was 2018, and then of course I just wrote a bunch. The rest of them are not in order. Suicide Kings, starring Jay Moore, Christopher Walken. That was it back in the day. Boondock Saints is another wannabe Tarantino.
The right guys.
Smoking Aces. 3,000 Miles to Graceland.
Yeah. Okay.
In Bruges.
Now I think we're gonna be courting some controversy with that opinion there.
I'm not saying, and hold on, this is not necessarily an indictment of these films.
Of course.
Except for Bad Times at El Royale, that was garbage. But Boondock Saints sucks too.
Well, that's another one.
My generation, our generation, Clarence and I grew up with an entire generation of kids who, as soon as they got their college dorm, they put up a Boondock Saints poster.
Unless they had a Scarface poster.
Yeah, although Scarface, I think, was older.
Yes, definitely the generation before us when we were hanging out with our...
4 years or 8 years older than us with Scarface posters.
When you were hanging out with your older siblings or cousins. Yeah,
Pulp Fiction posters, obviously, all that kind of stuff. That Pulp Fiction is evergreen. I think you can find that. You can probably find that in a college dorm today.
Oh, Spencer's is still making hand over fist on Pulp Fiction posters right now.
Yeah, and all of this pales in comparison to the fucking Bob Marley collage weed poster,
or that one of John Belushi with College.
Yeah,
because that one's still everywhere. I think I still have that one framed in my dining room.
So
what else?
Again, what I was saying is that this is not necessarily saying that these films are bad,
right?
But it is clearly a style that they're going for. From Paris with Love was another one. That was really awful. And then another Brad Pitt film, Killing Them Softly.
Never seen that one either.
It all fits in that kind of category of like pop culture references, snappy dialogue, a lot of violence, some sort of irreverent. The killer, the assassin duo.
Well,
everybody's trying to be Vincent Vega in
exactly
in Jules.
Exactly. Even the fact that one of those two guys, like they're both in the same matching suit, essentially, when they have the jackets on.
Yeah.
There's a spoiler alert, they take the jackets off. But they're in like a matching ensemble, and one of them's got slicked back hair, and one of them has crazy black people hair. And
you're talking about it in this movie. You're talking about Bullet Train. Oh,
well, I mean, which
for
one?
sure.
Which one am I talking about?
Well,
right?
That's the thing is, yeah. I mean, it sucks that they're both British. First of all,
well, that's what makes it different.
Stop. Yeah, exactly. Stop putting British people in movies. All right, I'm saying it right now, Hollywood. You're on notice. No more British people in movies. All right, we're done with it.
There's a firm stance that the proprietor of this podcast is taking. This in no way represents
it. 100%. It represents the opinion of everybody.
I've got to go.
It represents the opinion of anybody on this show, even not on this episode. Scroll back through. This is Maldo's opinion and Andres' opinion and Jimmy's opinion. No more British people in film.
Find them and fuck them up. Please don't do
Steven's opinion. I speak for everybody that's ever been on this show.
Except for Steven. Fuck Steven up. Please don't do that, Steven. I've never met you. I love you. How are you, man?
Yeah, so it's just the pop culture stuff. So we have Brad Pitt, obviously. He's ostensibly our protagonist. But he's on this train with a bunch of other people, and nobody's cool. No, everybody's a killer of some kind.
Somebody cool gets on later.
It's very bad times at El Royale. It's trying to be the Hateful Eight.
Why
is everybody in this cabin a killer who's connected to each other? Why is everybody at this hotel?
Well, it's Smoking Aces.
Smoking Aces.
It's fucking Smoking Aces.
Yeah, they just keep doing this, and none of it has the. I mean, I know I said it wasn't an indictment of these films, but they are all worse than a Tarantino film because he is genuinely an artist, and the people that are copying him, they don't realize. They don't understand why he does what he does. They see the product and they try to replicate the product without being able to comprehend or understand the process intention. Or anything about it.
The process, that's a better way to put it.
Yeah, and that's why all these films I listed off earlier, including Bullet Train, come off as these like cheap facsimiles of a Tarantino film.
And one thing that I can say, if I may, for a moment, immediately that feeling is there. Like it's not like they even tiptoe into it. They're diving. It's like you go to a pool on a hot summer day and you dive exactly into Tarantino.
Yeah, 100%.
Like immediately the movie starts with a representation of like Tokyo after like the flashback scene or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And it's like somebody took half of that Kill Bill scene where she's riding with the motorcycle and put it in a glass and filled the rest up with water.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same idea. They're trying to like, oh, it's Tokyo, the nightlife, the neon, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly.
Although,
for sure.
And that's just one example of that same feeling they're trying to evoke.
So anyway, there's a whole cast of characters in this. All of them are given a little bit of time to have some sort of personality. It's all pretty shallow. The two assassins or two of the killers, white guy, black guy. One of them, obviously a Vincent Vega and a Jules. I can't remember
Jules Verne. No, I'm just kidding.
I can't remember Samuel L. Jackson's last name in Pulp
Jules
Fiction.
L. Jackson. No, I can't remember his last name either, honestly. And I think that's going to get my NAACP card taken away from me. I do remember Martin Anyway, the point is, very specific analogs there, right?
Yeah, it's clearly trying to be something, and of course, one of them is talking about Thomas the Train, which the movie takes
constant motif.
The movie takes place on the train, and this adult British black man is obsessed with Thomas the Train, and he's like talking about it, and he talks about it all the time. It's bad dialogue in the sense that like it doesn't. You know how you watch a movie and sometimes a world doesn't feel lived in.
Yep.
He's talking to his friend. He's talking to his best friend, the white guy, and he's talking to him about Thomas the Train all the time. And to where his best friend is like, dude, you got to shut up with this. Except for the fact that they've been best friends their entire life. You and I have been friends for 15 years. We don't.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't talk to you about drums every second of the day.
And I don't sit there and say for the umpteenth time every time we hang out, hey, this is the first time I'm coming to you with this, but stop talking about drums.
Yeah. Right. That's the thing is. It doesn't feel
realistic.
It immediately doesn't feel like a real thing. It feels like this guy, the black character who's obsessed with Thomas the Train. It feels like he found out about Thomas the Train the day before this movie was filmed, because it's like he's talking about it not like a guy
that was his loose change when he was in college. Was Thomas the Train
loose change? Yeah.
I know people,
change.
Man.
That's so funny.
Jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams.
Another
man.
Tank engine has hit a second tank engine has hit the towers.
Oh God, that really fucked up our entire generation, dude.
For sure,
100%.
100%. There were so many parties at college where the guy you're talking to, what's up? What's your deal, dude?
Oh, dude, you're fucking.
And he immediately starts talking about the documentary he watched yesterday, which was Loose Change.
Because you could get it in every head shop or hookah bar or bodega that was on your fucking... And it was free. It was just a DVD that was right there.
So that's what...
But anyway.
So that's the point, is that this guy is... He's presented as if, like, Thomas the Train...
was just like something he was just introduced to.
Well, yeah. The literal words on the script are like... This is a foundational part of my personality.
Yes.
This was influential to me as a kid, and I've kind of maintained these lessons. But the things I learned as a kid that kind of formed my moral compasses, I don't talk about it. It's just a part of you. You don't bring it up constantly like it's your favorite thing. If it's really just a natural part of you,
unless you carry the stickers around with you everywhere you go.
That's what I mean.
Exactly, right.
So right off the bat, they're trying to make these killers.
You're a plot element.
They're trying to make these killers. All these characters are kind of quirky. They're trying to make them something. They're trying to. I don't know if they're. Do they think they're humanizing these characters?
I think that they think that there's an element of that is, but I also think that they're differentiating and saying like, hey, this isn't just like these guys aren't the same as one another, right? There's a guy who uses a sword. There's a guy who doesn't like using guns. There's a guy who likes to wear bespoke tailored suits. There's this little cute girl, and she's the deadliest of them all.
Yeah.
All of that. I think that all of those traits that stand out the most about them are what it is that they're trying to get there. And, that works if you can do what you were talking about. If you can build out the backside of that, right? A pyramid will only, like the tip of a pyramid only is going to stand if you have an entire base.
Yeah. And when they do this kind of stuff in these big cast movies with like 14 main characters...
Yes.
Brad Pitt's our main character, but everybody else is also a main character, you find out. What ends up happening is that these are not like... They try to give them something that they think is interesting backstory, but if it's poorly written, it stops becoming backstory and it just becomes a one-dimensional trait. So that's the thing is,
That's a really good way to put it.
we're filled with, just like you mentioned, we have, exactly what you said about all these characters. They all have their one thing, defining thing. Like, I don't know, like it'd be like watching a sport with like 10 teams on the field and everybody's got a different jersey color. I can tell you're red, I can tell you're green, I can tell you're black, you can tell you're white, orange, whatever. And we don't know anything about these players except for this color that they're shoving in our face. The little girl.
Which is the name of my new porno series, but yes. Sorry, I had to take the opportunity. I'm sorry. Yes, the color you're shoving. It's like, hey, this is what this person is, right? Like, oh, this person, their thing is. Well, it's like what Friends did. It's like, oh, Monica, she's the neurotic one or whatever. Chandler, he's the kind of funny one. Joey's the stupid one.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's true. Although you get to, that's true. The thing about a TV show is that even if a TV show is like bad or poorly written, which I'm not saying that about Friends, but even if it was,
not saying that,
even if it was,
right.
You still get 5, 7, 9 years for them to develop some actual depth, because we've seen them interact for as long as they've existed, really. Whereas here we get 2 hours and 5 minutes to like see this this gumbo come together.
Yeah, and to
go on now.
How long did you spend in Louisiana? That was nuts, right?
I've been there like 3 times for 2 days at a time.
A collective time of like less than a week.
Yeah.
I don't know. I call it Louisiana. They always pronounce it Lausanne, but no. But
do they?
They don't. But what you're saying is right. Like, these people get to develop these characters over years and years. However, on a movie, it's like, hey, keep this character consistent over the course of months. So while we do this, and the growth will show up in the script.
So if it's there, folks, you can kind of tell where this is going. If you're a fan of this show, if you know me at all, the most important part of any film is the characters. And I'm telling you right off the bat, I think it's kind of weak. Let's talk a little bit about the story. Brad Pitt is some sort of criminal guy. Not a secret agent. Maybe
left a little vague.
Yeah, maybe not even necessarily an assassin. He's definitely a reluctant kind of guy. He's trying to get out of the game, but he needs to make the money.
He can handle himself.
He's right. He's borderline. It's borderline that trope of just one more job and then I'm out. He's trying to do that, right? He's
got too many miles on these bones.
Yeah, he's first line. I'm getting too old for this shit right off the bat.
But he's getting back in as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. Right. It's either
he is getting back in.
Yeah, it's a combination of retired hitman coming back to work and also
reluctant
active hitman doing one last job. I don't know how they got both of those tropes into one boring character.
All I thought was like they really tried to John Wick Brad Pitt in this as much as they could.
Yeah, that's another thing everybody's trying. Well, also, this dude worked on John Wick, the director, David Leitch. I don't know if it says he's uncredited as a director for John Wick. So I think he was not the main director, but he might have directed some like a
second unit sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. That's what I was trying to think of. He probably directed second unit shit for John Wick.
That doesn't surprise me because a lot of that I'm sitting here like a film scholar, but like the cinematography, a lot of it had the same kind of general filmmaking feeling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. Although it was a lot brighter and
certainly.
Again, it takes place in Japan.
Certainly.
Which
on a bullet train.
On a train, but it has all like I don't know, the kind of shit. Does Japan really have all this like Hello Kitty disco ball shit everywhere? Even in like public places. That's what every movie that takes place in Japan, it all looks like Blade Runner with enormous, colorful billboards and whatever. And then the entire the Hello Kitty or whatever, it's some sort of bear. It's was it a panda bear? There's some sort of that's like
a koala or something. I guess
this entire train was sponsored. Like we put advertisements on the side of our buses in the United States.
Certainly do.
Do they let an entire federal train get covered in Hello Kitty bullshit?
Listen, I don't know how many times I can say nigga on this podcast, but nigga, you got to subsidize that shit somehow. I mean, subsidize, guys. You got to though. I mean, it's like, hey guys,
you gotta subsidize.
You gotta subsidize and diversify your bonds. That's an old Wu-Tang Clan joke for you guys, because Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been to Japan. The one person I know that has been to Japan isn't taking my calls.
Dude, all right. So I have a friend who went to Japan and had a great time, did all of this stuff, but all of their pictures from the stuff that they did, like I can't make any determination on, because of course they went and did all the tourist type stuff.
As opposed to what?
Well, like, I don't know, going out to the countryside and catching koi fish. I don't know. I don't know what Japan.
That
guys,
sounds touristy.
all of our guys out in Japan, let us know what you guys do on
What are
a
they
daily.
supposed to do? Like move in with a Japanese family? Like,
well, no.
I want to do not touristy things here in Tokyo.
But it doesn't give me any idea of whether or not the normal experience is seeing that touristy stuff, or like seeing the mascots and the stuff that you're talking about, because all they did was go places where you would see that kind of stuff. That's what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
That's all they did. It would be like if you came to America and went to every Chuck E. Cheese and Peter Piper Pizza and everything, and then you were like, that's America. That's how they live every single day.
I mean, that is what people do. People go to New York.
Exactly.
People go to New York and they go to Times Square, and there's the giant billboards, and then there's some characters walking around the street. Yep. They go see They go see the Naked Cowboy. They go to the M&M store, fucking Harry Potter world, whatever, and then they go to a Broadway show and they're like, "America's sick." You can buy M&Ms anywhere. You see these. You can see these amazing shows.
Fucking Sprites are only $9 over there.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
So,
it's
but again,
insane.
I'm not gonna go if I ever go to Japan, which I don't really have any. I would.
Not a big plan for you.
It's if I'm planning an international vacation, Japan's low on the list.
Gotcha.
But I'm not going to
go.
You
heard it here first.
I'm not going to go bursting through some rice paper wall like the Kool-Aid Man, being like, "I'm in your house, bitch, and I live here now. Show me the real life."
Nobody asked you to do that, but the fact that that's where your mind went.
It's not. Do I got to take my shoes off? Like, I don't know. I don't want to.
I feel you. No, I do.
So, nevertheless, let's get to some plot stuff.
Well, yeah. I wanted to
go ahead,
because the plot feels, at times, it feels very jumpy to me. Mm-hmm. Did you get that same impression? Like, we're going from maybe not the plot, but the presentation of the plot.
Yeah,
feels very, very jumpy, and not like in a way that it feels like they earned it.
Well. Yeah, in my mind, as I'm watching this, I'm thinking there's not really a story for the most part. It's character driven in the way that they have there's a MacGuffin, there's a suitcase. Everybody wants the suitcase. That Brad Pitt's job, our first guy, Brad Pitt's job is to get the suitcase.
Trying to just have a simple get back in, one and done.
There's two guys that already own the suitcase. There's another woman who's interested in the suitcase. She has a dude that she's making get the suitcase for her. Everybody's just passing. This suitcase is just in a little whirlpool, and it's just changing hands.
And then there's another guy who really wants the suitcase, right? So there's another unseen guy
Well, yeah, and it's all it happening on a train, and it's all heading towards you get to the end of the line, and that's where our big boss is. That's where our big bad guy is.
Big boss.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but other than that, everybody's got the same objective, and they're trapped. They're trapped in this bottle. In sitcoms, TV show, it's a bottle episode. They're all on the same. They're all on a train. And now it's just all these different personalities interacting with each other, all trying to get this same suitcase thing.
Yes.
And then of course people start dying, and it's like, who did that? And then they start fighting each other and killing each other, and it just becomes a whole thing. And then of course that just continues for literally most of the movie. The middle 90 minutes of this 2-hour movie. The middle 90 minutes are on the train, fighting and killing each other, hiding from each other. I got the suitcase, now I gotta hide it. You got
escaping from each other as
well. Close call, shit like that. Experience, getting to know these characters as much as we can. A one-dimensional character whose entire existence is based on chasing a suitcase.
Set dressing.
Yeah,
he's an NPC essentially.
Yeah, well, it's just,
Or no, not...
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about now, the one who came out of literally fucking nowhere.
Oh, I'm not even talking about A1 at all, but yeah, they all kind of came out.
Because there was one that more than anything was like...
With the dad?
Oh, no, the mascot.
Oh, yeah.
It was just literally like...
her, that killer, and then also... The Mexican dude.
That also, right? Because that didn't really even
that meant nothing.
End up playing into it. Yeah, you could have cut that whole thing.
It was very bad. He was my least favorite character.
The director owed that actor a favor, I think.
Yeah. Of all, there's a Mexican assassin named the Wolf. They didn't even call him Lobo or anything. They just called him the Wolf.
El Wolfo.
He was the worst character. And again, all these characters are like shallow or whatever, but he was the worst one. I hated him from the second I saw him. He does this. It's the worst walk. It's the worst walk I've ever seen anybody do in a movie. He does this shoulder dipping.
He has
walk.
A limp, actually.
He's like walking like it's supposed to be like a tough guy walk. He's this badass Mexican killer with a bolo tie and some ridiculous, white suit.
It was that fucking haircut that was the worst for me, man. That Jerry curl with the fade on the side. Nah, fucking miss me with that shit, bro.
Yeah, that was crazy.
100%.
It looked like shit. But also he's walking. He's like got the toughest guy walk. But I've never seen a tough guy move his shoulders so much. Like right, like every single time he's like dipping his shoulders and move, which means he's wiggling his hips. It fucking sucks, dude.
It's like a shitty version of the Sharks, Jets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's one of the sharks. Exactly.
But in Spanish, it's El Charque. It's not. That's not how you say it.
Do you know what it is in Spanish?
I actually don't. You probably know better. I
do know. It's tiburon.
Tiburon. Oh, of course. Like the Hyundai, the car that they made that was shaped like a fucking. Never mind.
Wait, what? How is your reference for the word, the Spanish word for shark?
Because one of my friends in high school had a Hyundai Tiburon, and I asked him what it was about, and he's like, "Oh, it's because they made this one after a shark." And I was like, "Okay." So I looked it up, and yeah, they were like, "We aerodynamically shaped this after how a shark is hydrodynamically shaped."
What the fuck? Really?
Yeah, dude.
I never heard of that. Is that? Did they sell that in America? Did they sell that? Did your friend?
No, this guy bought this car. Yeah, like this was back in high school. He didn't like import this car. It was like a production modelized car.
I didn't know if he was from Mexico and bought his car there.
No,
moved to
definitely
America.
not. This was something that they sold. This is back when Hyundai was like not at the level that they're at now. Because Hyundai are pretty decent cars.
Hyundais are fine. I got no.
But you remember back when
I'm not trying to start beef with Hyundai.
We're not starting shit with Hyundai Twitter. Okay.
I'm shitting on the Japanese enough in this episode. Without me going directly after.
I'm not even sure if Hyundai's Japanese. I'm not sure if they should be offended. We're not trying to offend Japanese Twitter either.
They would be offended if they're not Japanese. If they're from somewhere else that's not Japanese. but it's Japanese.
What if
they would be offended.
What if they were like a New Mexico company, but they just chose that name?
New Mexico. No, it's got to be from Asia.
I would say so. Shit, dude. The last time I had trivia night for fucking car brands, was never. So,
anyway, yeah, that's crazy.
Yes. Anyway, getting back to
design it like a shark. A shark doesn't go through the air. There's no point in making our shit.
It goes through the water.
Yeah,
water and air are technically both fluids when you speak from a physical standpoint or a physics standpoint.
Shut up. First of all, that's not even
true.
true.
Look this shit up.
No.
Nigga.
We're not looking it up.
This is the first time the words that physics and nigga have been in the same two sentences back to back.
No. There's plenty of people that say that about Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Isn't that his Twitter handle?
You got to say it.
Physics at physics nigga. I can't even fucking articulate nigga.
No,
are we canceled yet?
You know who's screaming that is Bill Nye the Science Guy.
The Tom Hanks of Kid Science. Like, are you kidding?
Every time he sees a new book deal for Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's screaming. He's screaming physics N-word.
Physics nigga. Physics nigga. Physics nigga.
Yeah.
I can't wait for I hope it never happens. But can't wait for the time that they're like, Bill Nye the Science Guy got caught like smuggling people across the border or something like that.
What?
Like just him doing some really crazy shit that nobody can expect.
That's not the kind of crime Hollywood TV people commit.
I don't want to say any of the other ones.
They don't.
Though.
Yeah, but if he's doing a crime, it's gonna be a sex crime. He's not gonna be like a coyote.
I'd want him to branch out.
We're getting off topic too much.
We are actually, and there's a lot to talk about still with this film because they have that guy. It takes place in Japan. They have that guy who they ask, like, "Hey, we need a somewhat middle-aged Japanese guy who looks good holding a sword."
The old guy.
Yeah,
it wasn't middle-aged at all. He was old as fuck.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But they always call that same guy, and y'all don't even need to know who I'm talking about. Just Google old, middle-aged-ish Japanese guy wielding a sword, bullet train, and you'll find exactly who we're talking about. They use him for everything, and sure enough, they called him in for this.
Oh, you mean the actors and everything?
Yes,
that's that thing.
yes,
oh,
he's used in everything, and he's typecast as fuck.
Let's look up his name. Who is that dude? Not Kimura. Hiroki Sanada.
Yes, and
Hiroyuki Sanada.
He's been in everything from like sci-fi network series.
The Mexican killer I hated is Bad Bunny.
The rapper?
Yeah, or the reggaeton artist. Okay. I didn't realize that was him.
And I don't know
what
half
he looks
Mexican
like.
one. It always pays to mention that I'm the half Mexican one, but you're the one who has like deep roots in Hispanic culture.
I don't know about that.
No, you do.
But I know who Bad Bunny is. He's a Puerto Rican reggaeton artist. He's beloved. People love his music. I don't know anything about him. That explains why they didn't give him any lines. I think this is his first acting.
Well, he did have some Spanish lines.
Well, but he's trying to go entirely off of like. That makes sense why he's so bad, because he's like, what would a tough guy do? Let me do the worst walk I've ever seen of a tough guy. I was glad he died.
We've come full circle.
I was glad he died instantly. I was glad his wife died in that flashback. He sucked.
But his wife might have been a good actress.
Oh, I don't know. Who cares? I'm sure he'll be fine someday. That's, you know what? Honestly, me saying of all the things, me saying Bad Bunny sucks in this movie. That's the thing that's most likely to like cause an uproar.
We're canceled, guys.
He's like the Puerto Rican Taylor Swift, where his fan base is rabid. They're wild, and they don't tolerate any criticism of their favorite artist.
You just BTS'd Army this podcast.
Yeah,
right
there you
now.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
BTS. That's the Koreans, right?
That is.
Yeah, they're the same.
Why? I don't know that. Why? What
They're
have
the
you
same
heard?
kind of thing. They have that. I just know Taylor.
Absolutely.
I know Taylor Swift fans are like unreasonable.
You can't even get on social media of any kind right now without people saying, like making videos or pictures where it's new Taylor Swift album lyrics, and they're like, "This just fits me."
Oh yeah, ugh, so bad.
Not on ours. Every one of our friends on social media is great.
No, they're not. I had some of the worst people on my shit. All right, let's do a couple.
I didn't say that.
Couple other things. So part of the story, Brad Pitt's in hiding. It's been a stressful day. He's hiding in the bathroom of this bullet train, and they've got one of those super smart toilets, with his like a built-in bidet and a air dryer and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
Super expensive, like smart toilet Japan's famous for. So here's a personal. This is a
lot of clean buttholes.
This is the Nick Tazo anecdote corner. A couple weeks ago, I played a private party in a mansion in Austin. And in the bathroom that was available to us, they had one of those smart toilets. They had one of these like
nice
electric powered like toilet that does everything for you. Like the seat is heated, all kinds of stuff. And there's a bunch of buttons. I didn't know how to operate it.
Long story short.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting down on the toilet, and I turn on. I figure out how to flush it, and I just didn't look at the buttons very closely. But I turn on the bidet, and it's like I thought it was an automatic thing. Like you turn it on, it runs for a little while, then it's done. But that's not how it works. You got to turn it off. But I didn't know how to turn it off. So I turned it on, and now I'm held hostage by this thing. No. Because if I get up, it's just going to spray water all over the floor of this mansion that I don't own. So I'm like held hostage. I can't get up, and I don't know how to turn it off. It took me forever to figure out how to turn it off. So I'm sitting there getting bideted up my ass for like 4 minutes. It was the longest, and I'm just like, I can't. I want to leave so badly, and I can't. I don't know how.
But enough about my prison experience.
Yeah, and it just eventually I had to look at. I found the button that said turned it off, and then I could escape.
Was the button accessible for you?
Oh
where
yeah,
you were sitting?
Oh yeah, it was right there. It was all on like a control panel, but there was just like 15 buttons. It was way more features and options. I don't even know what else this thing could do.
Well, sometimes we've gone too far with tech, right?
100%.
Yeah, and like it's like okay,
this is completely not necessary.
Let's say that same panel of buttons was just a knob that said, "Oh, like turn this to the pressure you want."
On and off, like every other water feature.
Yeah, just like a knob.
Yeah,
just like a knob, just like that. It's a knob, just like every other water fixture you've ever had. Just like that.
That would make more sense.
How much intuitive sense would that make?
Even if it was like you press it and it goes for 10 seconds and then it turns off,
and then you're like, you know what? I think I need another 10 seconds.
Yeah,
and then you press it again.
That would have been fine. But for it just to run, I was like, this is insane.
They take more consideration into the water conservation of our children's water faucets than they do our buttholes. And I'm just saying, this is
talking
not right.
about.
Wait, what?
I don't know.
No, like there are water fountains at like parks and stuff. You can push a button and it literally will go for 5 seconds.
Oh,
and then it'll stop
for sure. Well, that was that. I mean, that was a legendary Jerry Seinfeld joke about airport. This was even back in the 90s. The joke was about airport bathrooms. He's like, why can't we just turn a faucet on? Why does it have to be, press the button? Oh, I got a little bit of water there.
Yes.
Oh, I got a little bit of water there. It's like,
and now, what
do you think we're adults at an airport. What do you think we're gonna do? Just turn it on and fucking water?
And then like the things with the sensors sometimes,
I hate them.
How much more like a Jewish uncle could I have said? The thing with the sensors sometimes, you're sitting here, you're talking about Seinfeld. I'll tell you right now. But seriously, like the sensors, you'll put your hand there and it'll be like, nope, and then you'll move your hand away and it's like, yeah. It'll do that. I always just wipe my hands on my pants and walk away, and then I go handle food. I really don't do that, guys.
Take that microphone home after this.
You told me to put it right there, by the way, on my hands.
Let's see. What
other points do you have that stood out to you about this film?
I have a little thing of like, I don't know. Maybe this is nothing, but why is there no nudity in any film anymore?
There was implied nudity early on in the film, right? That was the point.
No, again, Bad Bunny,
right?
The wolf, the Mexican killer, and his fiance, they're sleeping together. They go out of their way. Again, they're sleeping together. The sheets are perfectly around her hips while they're having sex, and she's wearing a tank top or a bra. All this kind of... Again, this is a movie filled with
gore, human gore.
There's blood and heads getting cut off, and people are bleeding out of their eyeballs, and it's violence, and there's foul language and all kinds of stuff. I just don't understand why films... It seems like every movie shies away from... Even a rated R film shies away from just regular... to avoid nudity.
I will say this. I did notice there's a very early scene where somebody is doing some sort of like assassination job or something, or not assassination. They're taking pictures of like a senator.
Oh, yeah.
There is some nudity there.
That's right. You know what?
There is some.
Was she naked?
She was naked. Well, you can't see anything very well.
That was a flashback to like a blackmail job.
Correct.
Showing whoever it was, they did a blackmail job back in the day.
By the way, a black male job is whatever Nick calls it whenever I do one of these podcasts.
This is a special episode. You've got blackmail. The Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan.
Let's get blackmail. He's gonna be what we call.
You've got blackmail.
Meg Ryan is our special guest for. You know what? If we can get Meg Ryan in that chair that may or may not be on screen right now.
You know what? Her face, she looks like she's never met. She looks like she's never met a black person. That's how white she is. Her head might explode if she was face to face with you.
If she ate flour, she would think it would be too salty. She is so white.
Yeah, she was never.
This is nothing to disparage Meg Ryan, Reddit, or Twitter.
She's fine. You don't have to worry about. Yeah, she's no Taylor Swift where you have to get that apology out early.
Or fucking Elon Musk, who again, there's nothing wrong with.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny that guy is gonna destroy Twitter. I'm so happy for him. Good for you, dude.
Sometimes problems solve themselves, right?
Yeah, it rules. All right.
What you got?
A couple other little things.
Lightning round.
Yeah,
that's not true. We're gonna take as much time as we're.
A lot of cliches, a lot of tropes. They did the classic like, I'm looking for something. Oh, I'm looking for a bag. I'm looking for a bag with a sticker on it, and the woman goes, "Oh, I've never seen your briefcase," and he goes, "I didn't say it was a briefcase."
Yep.
I hate that.
If it's done well, fine, but you can't have the reveal 10 seconds after you fucking said it.
Well, you just can't do it anymore. That was such a clever thing like the first time it happened, and now all of these caper films, they all do it they all do it at least once, and it's such a
and we're not talking about the pickled vegetable pod. We're talking about capers.
It's such you're such a cornball, dude.
I had to. I fucking had to. I didn't want people to think that this was sophisticated, what we're doing here.
Nobody would think that.
The podcast is called Let's Get Trashed.
You called Neil deGrasse Tyson the N-word earlier. There's no
physics, nigga.
There's no sophistication to be found.
I can't wait to do my imposter Twitter of Neil deGrasse Tyson, where I'm just him saying
a fake account.
Yeah, exactly. A parody account of Neil deGrasse Tyson called Physics Nigga, and it's just me in a cheap Samuel L. Jackson Pulp Fiction wig.
You have to dress up like him.
Yeah, well, that wig, but like dressed up with a. What does he wear? A lot of tweed?
Yeah.
A lot of tweed.
Elbow patches, suspenders.
Exactly.
He seems like a suspenders guy.
the entire universe is actually made up of billions and billions of molecules.
That's not a bad impression.
Well, we all have the same software, us niggas.
Is every black guy could do an impression of any other black guy?
Whoa. You don't get to call us that. We're called niggas.
I don't get to call you black. Yeah.
Say it.
You're a black guy. You know you're black. You're fine with it. Everybody's fine with it.
You're fine with it. You've made peace with it.
I did have to say that to
You've got your permit.
I did have to say that to a girl. I was dating some white girl, and she was like, she.
This is something you want to put on the pod?
She was just so it's fine. Okay. She was so like I don't know. It was just a thing. She was like she was like she was struggling. She couldn't think of like the word African American or whatever. She's like the people over there, whatever. I was like, you can say they're black. They're black. They're fine with it. Everybody know. Black.
I love that. I love that because people have such feelings about it.
Well, she's like, is black a bad word? I was like, what decade are you living in?
I give you permission to, if you're ever in that position again, if somebody says, well, is black a bad word in reference to race? Just say, nigga, black's a color. And just let them have
I'm not getting that permission.
No, actually,
signed.
For you guys who aren't watching,
that in.
who you guys aren't watching the video, which you should be, I'm actually reaching into my wallet and I'm giving one of my race cards to Nick right now.
You're giving me the inward pass.
Yeah.
Don't
use it yet.
Every white guy, every white hip hop fan's most coveted thing. They all, Michael Rappaport is seething that I got one of these.
Bet.
Don't say that. That's not cool.
No,
so they did that thing. When the black chick who was the assassin,
played by Zazie Beetz, a German actress, by the way.
Zazie Beetz. And you said you saw her in something before?
Yes, actually, this is where it dovetails back into the Deadpool thing, right? Okay. So in Deadpool 2, she plays a character who's super fucking lucky. And Luck plays a part in this.
Oh,
so that plays a part in this. Then, you remember how Brad Pitt, like, kind of, when the train is crashing, he curls up into that, like, bear suit? She did that in Deadpool 2. And then when you see Brad Pitt after that fact, you pass over these like electrical lines. That's how Brad Pitt's character died in Deadpool 2. So there are all of these interesting little parallels right there in that particular sequence.
You're saying that the writer and director fucking they just have nothing else.
No, they're absolutely bankrupt.
They're just reusing.
No. What I'm saying is they were playing it back with it, but I guess. Do you mind if I kind of start going into my overall impression of this movie?
Yeah, sure. Sure. We'll get to recommendations in a second. I didn't like Zazie Beetz's character at all. She says
very topical character.
She stunk, and she says the word bitch a lot. She's fighting, and her and Brad Pitt are fighting.
At the end of every sentence.
Every sentence is like, "I'm gonna get you, bitch." I'm gonna stab you with this thing, bitch. Like,
and that goes back to that, like, that's your character trait.
Except it's not. You know what? Did you watch Rick and Morty?
Yes,
you remember?
I do.
So the first season,
Scary Terry.
Yeah, Scary Terry. That was literally a joke 8 years ago on this cartoon, Rick and Morty.
Out there, not in here.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're doing a parody of Halloween or Michael Myers or
Freddy Krueger.
That's right. They're doing a Freddy Krueger.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, they're doing Nightmare on Elm Street parody in this TV show, and it's not Freddy Krueger. It's Scary Terry, and he's killing people, but he just says, "Bitch, I'm gonna get you, bitch," and then he's walking around and is like, "Where are you, bitch?" And the joke is like he just said, "Oh, bitch." He just says it so much, and
even on sweet things.
Yeah, he says it so much, and it's a joke. It's a parody, and this movie makes it
a characteristic
with a straight face does it. They do it more than the cartoon parody from a TV show 8 years. I mean, it's crazy how that.
Well, they do nothing to earn it. right?
Earn
Like,
what?
Exactly.
It's just poor dialogue.
Like,
It's not a thing of like, oh, it makes sense that this character talks dumb like that.
If it's a characteristic rather, if it's something that's what, like, maybe it's a tick of hers or something, tell us that. Make us understand that from a story point. You're just throwing it in there to make it edgy.
Don't write a character that where her tick is that she says bitch constantly. Just don't, if that's, yeah, that can't be that.
If you or somebody that you know has Tourette syndrome, please reach out.
Yeah, don't do that.
Available.
Don't reach out. Or at least not to me.
Nick Tazzo's personal phone number.
All right, I got one bad ADR.
I saw several.
I mean, I'm sure there's more.
Several with Michael Shannon specifically.
Oh, really? There was one.
That motherfucker was not speaking Russian in that movie.
Well, that's probably true. There's one. That's true. Michael Shannon doesn't know Russian.
He was not speaking Russian.
But no, Brian Tyree Henry, the black British criminal guy.
Actually black.
Him and Brad Pitt at the end. The train's going off the rails. Everything's accelerating, and you hear a voice off screen go, "We're on the wrong track," and it doesn't sound like him, and you can't see his lips moving, but it's supposed to be him saying it.
And it happens like 2 seconds before they fucking crash.
Yeah, it's
spoiler alert. They crash.
Right. Just to put it in there of like,
that's why this is happening.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that's really bad. These high budget, it's just a detail thing. Just nobody cares anymore.
Well, because movies these days they're shot one way, they're edited an entirely different way.
Yeah, exactly. It's so much green screen stuff that the green screen thing of like, don't put them on a set, we'll fill it in later. That idea, that concept of filming like that has seeped into every aspect of it. Don't even worry about saying the words right. We'll get it in later.
Same thing with music.
Yeah, we'll do it in post. We'll fix it in post.
Oh, yeah, we'll just punch in.
Yeah, we'll punch it in. Exactly. Nobody can play their instrument anymore. It's just we're going to punch it in.
Long gone are the days when it was all cellophane.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and everything's just worse now. All right.
Everything's worse. What we're trying to say is, guys, don't invest in crypto. Well, maybe. I don't know
what you're talking about. All right, give me some impressions of this. We're almost done. We're going to wrap it up here in a bit.
Okay, here's my impression.
Go for it.
This is a Marvel movie for people who don't like Marvel movies but still want to watch Marvel movies, right?
Hilarious.
They are trying their best to make a movie that's got this feeling of lore, this feeling of depth, this feeling of, oh, well, that's why these people have their motivations and all of these individual colorful characters.
Well, and
they're not pulling it off.
And the terrible snappy dialogue that's like ubiquitous in Marvel movies.
And Tarantino movies as well.
No. Tarantino has actual like stuff that means something.
They're trying to meet in the middle.
The Marvel movies just do that shallow, like there's a big explosion and they always do that. Well, that went well.
Yeah.
Or it's that kind of cheesy stuff. This movie has that in droves. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. If you think you're too sophisticated for Marvel movies, first of all, you're not. I mean, if this appeals to you, then you're not. I promise.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
And you know what?
You might as well.
Sometimes there are days where I want to eat potato chips, so I eat potato chips. There are some times that I want to eat something a little bit more sophisticated than that, so I eat that then. If I wanted to watch a movie like this where it's a bunch of just colors and noise, this is the movie to watch. If I don't, I'll watch something better.
Let's make that make more sense. Let's make that make some sense. All right. If you had to recommend this to somebody, how would you or would you not recommend this film to somebody?
If somebody is looking, like, let's say somebody's coming to me and they're like, I want to watch something that makes me think and feel and that I can really sink my teeth into, I would not recommend this movie to them. But if they want to watch something where they want to sit down and kind of tune out for a while and just let things happen in front of their face, this is absolutely the movie for them. I'm not saying that makes it a bad movie or a good movie. I personally, am I going to watch this movie again? Am I ever going to go out of my way to watch this movie again? Probably not.
just tell me, did you like it?
I did like this movie. I liked Gladiator, but those are both also movies that I wouldn't watch again. And they're of different calibers.
Wait, what? You wouldn't watch? Hold on. None of this makes any sense. You don't like Gladiator?
No, I like Gladiator. I like it just fine.
Gladiator and this
That's what I'm saying.
Gladiator and this are not even remotely comparable. Like, that's a crazy example of a film to
maybe
pick.
I was making too much of a stretch in logic there when I was making that comparison. There are certain movies that I would watch again and that I wouldn't, just because, I don't know, sometimes I don't feel like sitting through them. Gladiator sometimes to me feels a little repetitive. Maybe it's because I used to watch it all the time when I was younger. But all the same, like something like Children of Men, which is a good movie, feels a certain way to have to watch again. This kind of occupies that same space, but for completely different reasons.
You would watch this, so
I would not watch this movie again. Personally. Yeah. Would I recommend that somebody does watch this movie? No. I'd recommend they read the Wikipedia or watch any one of those YouTube recaps.
That's the thing is, if I never have anybody asking me for recommendations as far as like what's a movie I can just throw on and not care about. There's hangout movies that are way that work. I don't know. I would never I'm going to not recommend this film. I just think it's bad.
You're going black or white here?
Yeah, you recommend it or you don't. I don't know. I wouldn't. That's the other thing is you're going to forget about this in 6 months.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So the point is, don't even think about it right now. It just if somebody was to ask you that question, which nobody ever would. I want a movie I can watch where I just put things on and things are happening in front of my face. First of all, that's every movie. That's what movies are. It's moving pictures in front of your face. That's literally the only defining aspect of the art form. But you're only thinking of this as an option because because we watched it today. You're not in 1 month. If somebody says, "I just want to watch something kind of easy," you won't even think about this. You'll go back to something else.
Well, no, yeah. I don't have access to it, and that's part of a broader podcast you and I need to have about the streaming landscape as a whole. But yes, I get what you're saying.
You're taking a lot of left turns. I wasn't even talking about the streaming landscape.
No. I'm just saying, like, is it accessible for me to get to? Probably not. Like, it's not going to be on Netflix. It's not on.
No, it might be. I just mean, like, I don't.
I get what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah. It like, is this going to come to mind? Is this going to bubble up to the surface?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's if you're going to recall it.
Here's the thing. Let me say it like this.
Say it like this.
If I were in the dating sense and somebody was like, oh, yeah, I really, really love the movie Bullet Train. Mm-hmm. Would that give me pause? Yeah, it would.
Oh.
That would make me feel weird.
I wouldn't. I don't know.
If they were like, that was my favorite movie, I think it would give me some pause.
I do have a new kind of rule in dating where it's like, I am not gonna date a girl that likes Marvel movies and like wants to go see them.
See, so this is kind of the same.
I would avoid. I am starting to avoid that now.
Like if somebody showed up to a date dressed with like, I don't know, like Infinity Gauntlet earrings and told you, I'm a huge Marvel saga fan.
It's absolutely going nowhere. Same thing with like Star Wars.
You pay for dinner and just get out of there.
Dinner, calm down. Yeah, no, but I'm at the point, you're using these stupid dating apps. If it's like, if their profile mentions, we could watch Marvel movies together. Let's do a Marvel binge. Let's watch all the whatevers. I'm saying no to that. Whatever direction is no, I guess left.
Yeah, that's a nah.
I'm doing like I can't. I don't. If that's that, that's become a thing that I used to like not care. I used to just I'll grit my teeth and pretend, but I'm just you get too old to pretend.
And that is a difference between the two of us because I do watch a lot of the Marvel movies.
But you enjoy it more than I do.
Well, and that's it. That's kind of why I think our collaboration and conversations about these movies come from a lot of really good perspectives, because I see how this is trying to capitalize on Quentin Tarantino. It's trying to capitalize on Marvel. It's like an algorithm wrote this movie to be everything popular that people wanted.
Yes.
That's exactly what this feels like, isn't it?
It's a great point. And it's also, what's a bummer is that I am constantly saying I wish existed, exciting single, like, one-off movies that weren't part of franchises, or they aren't these overblown, bloated Marvel productions. And then you get one like this, and it
have
sucks.
Hope, and then it doesn't work.
But it's like, even the thing I say I want when it appears to me, I end up rejecting it because I just don't like it.
That's exactly this.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, you're like, okay, I want something that doesn't have to be like, oh, well, I need to figure out the comic book version of this so I can figure it out, or whatever, or I need to read the book, or it's just its own thing. There was a movie called The Nice Guys, Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe.
Yep, that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Shane Black directed it, and it was an original idea movie. It was just, hey, this is a story I want to tell.
Yeah.
And they told the story. It kind of fucking bombed, but
really, people love it.
Yeah, it's a great movie, but it didn't make the money back.
Is it a cult classic?
It's kind of like, because
people,
it's an audience favorite.
Yeah, people love it. If you talk to anybody that's seen that movie, or if you talk to anybody that's like in the portions of Twitter that I frequent, which is usually cinematic stuff, people are bringing that up all the time as like a cult. So I guess it's got cult status now.
Yeah. And I think that's great, but I think you mentioned this earlier, and you did a really good job of articulating it. It's playing at the feeling that you get when you watch one of those really good movies. It's playing at the feeling of, oh yeah, like there's kind of a Nice Guys-esque feeling here. Like it's a movie that is original, and there's that. That's why it's going to be good. And it ultimately doesn't deliver on the promise.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. Did I sit here and watch a lot of lights and get engaged with everything? Yeah. But even things like the writing.
Yeah, even some of the ideas, like even the idea, like the ideas behind the kills were not that good. It's not even that clever. What you could sometimes get away with bad dialogue and lame characters if like the mechanics of the actual, like, the assassination or whatever. Oh, that's actually an interesting way to kill somebody. That's at least like a fun, if you're a dude that, or if you're a person who likes not even action movies or kung fu movies or anything like that. Even if like the kung fu movies have bad acting, typically, a lot, some of the B ones. There's a lot of
like
bad
special
karate movies.
Effects of a dubious quality.
Yeah, exactly. But if it's like, oh, that's an interesting way to
utilize that
to kick somebody or something. It's like even though this actor's not that great, they're doing the karate really cool, and that redeems it. And it's like, oh, that was an interesting fight scene, kind of stuff like that. Even all that kind of stuff was bad. The whole the girl character with all the bombs was meant nothing. It was completely boring.
It paid off in
it didn't even work. It didn't even like happen.
It kind of paid off in this really convoluted, is one way to say it for sure.
Yeah.
But also it was like,
yeah, the big, and this will be the last thing I say, because we've already done our recommendations and said, you said whatever you said. I've said no, don't watch it.
I'm right about here.
All right.
I'm right about there.
Yeah, you can do a number thing if you want to do like 4 or 3 out of 10.
Man, out of 10, I'd give this like 2 zebras. That's it.
Okay.
No, like I'd probably, out of 10, I'd probably give it like 4. If you're in a hotel and it comes on TBS,
stop writing these people's lives.
Then fucking watch it. If not, don't even fucking bother.
If you have to exist in this crazy scenario that you invented, then it's in order to enjoy something.
Nick, you've been in a hotel before.
Yeah, I only watch Family Guy or Impractical Jokers in a hotel.
Those are the only two things on 24/7
I know.
across the country.
Thank God for hotel TV so I can watch Family Guy.
One time I was in a hotel. This was one of my first times that me and my now wife, that we went away for like a trip, and Super Jail on Adult Swim was on for like 4 hours. I don't know what the fuck they were doing, but we fell asleep with it on, and then in the middle of the night it was on again. I nearly shot myself. Anyway, guys, this is going to be the...
I thought you were going to say you went on your first vacation with your wife and you spent the entire time. Super Jail was on for 4 hours and we watched all of it. Like,
I didn't even touch her.
I flew all the way to Napa Valley, California just to watch cartoons in a Holiday Inn.
There we were in scenic Sydney, Australia, right? 19-hour flight. I stayed up the whole time.
Yeah. So last thing is because the train is so essential to the plot, there's so much the movie is constantly getting people off the train and then back on the train. It's like we got to have a scene where they get off the train to like, oh my God, is he finally getting off the train? Is our long nightmare over?
But you always know it's going to be about a minute, and then literally a minute.
And then they're back on the train. Or it's a thing of like, somebody got kicked off the train, and then they jump right back on the train, and they
punch through a window.
They pull that. I think he put on brass knuckles.
Even still, that thing was made to withstand 700 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's idiotic. But they just pulled the same. They pulled the like, is getting off the train. It'd be like in Speed, if the bus kept making all the stops, and then it's just like. This bus can't go slower than 50 miles an hour except for our scheduled stop every block and a half. But in between, we have to go. There were so many opportunities for this just to all end.
We've got to still keep going fast, but we'll stop. We'll hang out.
Yeah.
Maybe go grab a sandwich from a vending machine.
So that's a very poorly done conceit.
Nick, you don't know this, but the working title for this movie was Speed, but the train takes all the stops. And then they just decided to call it Bullet Train.
They called it...
after some test focus.
They called it the train that couldn't slow down.
Speed.
It's
Speed, the one that couldn't slow down except for at all the stops.
It's basically the monorail episode of The Simpsons where the monorail's just winging around town.
South Park was right. Simpsons did it first.
Oh, yeah. It's the best show ever.
It was?
Well, besides Let's Get Trashed on YouTube.
By the way, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know if you need T-shirts for black throwblacks, whatever we're calling the
throwblacks,
whatever we're calling the retro show. I don't know.
Oh, retro.
Yeah.
First of all, retro movies are in the can because they've already been recorded.
We're calling them throwblacks now.
That's film speak. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Let's Get Trashed. I keep saying that we're going to keep these short, and we keep going long. I have too much fun chilling with you, buddy.
It really is great. Thank you guys so much for inviting me in.
Clarence, you guys, like this is I got all my staff here. I got my producers.
They're over here. I
got my producers hanging out.
Jordan, Neil, Abe.
You just keep using the same. All right. All right. Thanks, everybody. Like and subscribe. Feel free to follow me on Instagram at Nictazo Drums or on Twitter at Nictazo. Let's Get Trashed, at Get Trashed Pod, all that kind of stuff. You can find the show. I'm trying to post more stuff about the show, but I'm doing a very bad job of it. Because really, the only part of having a podcast I like is talking to my friends, and I don't like any of the rest of it. I might just stop recording these and stop uploading them.
No, don't do that.
Don't
do that.
I might.
We're all here for you. Speaking as a fan and a friend.
I might just have my friends over and talk to them, and then it goes nowhere else.
Well, at the very least, keep doing that. But throw on a recorder and let's get this going.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Let's get trashed.
Bye, guys.